3 years ago, a poor housemaid named Amara made the hardest choice of her life. Save her kind boss from murder, and also protect her 5-year-old son from a monster's revenge. Tabena Eanquo, successful architect, kind boss, generous man, was days away from marrying the love of his life, Cynthia Adeyemi, a beautiful woman with a beautiful smile. But behind that smile lurked a monster. Amara discovered a terrible secret. Cynthia didn't love Toby. She wanted him dead. While delivering dry cleaning to Cynthia's apartment, Amara overheard everything. The affair with another man named Emma, the murder plot, the plan to kill Toby for his 500 million naira inheritance, brake failure, third mainland bridge, 6 months after the wedding, all planned down to the last detail. But when Cynthia discovered Amara had heard, she made a threat that chilled Amara's blood. Tell him, and your son dies. I know where Chitty goes to school. Accidents happen to children. Amara was trapped. Tell the truth and lose her son. Stay silent and let a good man die. The man who would save her mother's life. The man who treated her with dignity when the world treated her like dirt. So she found a third way. She wrote a note. A simple note warning him of the danger. And she hid it in his wedding suit pocket, where he would find it on his wedding morning. On that morning, Toby found the note. The truth exploded like a bomb. The wedding was canceled. Cynthia and Emma were confronted. They confessed everything on tape. The police arrived. Justice was served. Cynthia got 7 years in Kirikiri prison. Emma got 5 years. Amara was promoted to house manager with double her salary. Her son Chitty's education was secured with a 10 million naira trust fund. Her mother's house was paid for completely. Toby was heartbroken, but alive. And Amara? She was a hero, the maid who saved a life. Music shifts, becomes darker. But here's what they didn't know. Prison does reform everyone. Sometimes it makes them more dangerous. Sometimes it gives them time to plan, time to plot, time to find new allies who share the same hatred. Sometimes revenge is just sleeping, waiting for the right moment to strike. Pause for effect. 3 years have passed. Amara thought the nightmare was over. Toby found love again with a kind pediatrician named Ada. Life was peaceful, beautiful, perfect. But peace never lasts when evil is patient. And now, Cynthia's out, released after 4 years for good behavior. She's angrier, smarter, and she's not alone this time. A new enemy has emerged. A man with money, power, connections, and his own vendetta against Toby and Ada. A man whose obsession knows no limits. Together, they have one mission: destroy Toby, destroy Ada, and make Amara pay for what she did. Music intensifies. Last time, Amara risked everything to save one life. This time, she must save 3 lives, Toby's, Ada's, and her own. Last time, she faced one villain. This time, 2 enemies have united against her. 2 minds, 2 plans, double the danger. Last time, she was just a scared maid fighting to protect her son. This time, she's a mother who knows what she's capable of. She's tasted victory once. She knows evil can be defeated. Intense pause. But will courage be enough when evil multiplies? Will she save them again, or will she lose everything, including her son? Can the maid become a hero twice? Music builds a crescendo. If you haven't watched part 1, stop right now. Click the link in the description below to see how it all started. You need to see how Amara saved Toby the first time to understand what's about to happen. Trust me, you don't want to miss the beginning of this incredible story. If you have watched part 1, welcome back. You already know Amara is brave. You already know she's a hero. But this time, the stakes are higher, the enemies are smarter, and the danger is deadly. Are you ready? Because part 2 is about to get dark. Smash that like button right now. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion. Turn on all notifications because this 5-chapter journey will have you on the edge of your seat. The maid who saved a life is about to do it again. Let's dive into part 2. The morning sun streamed to the floor-to-ceiling windows of the Lekki Phase 1 mansion, just as it had 3 years ago. But everything else had changed. Amara walked through the living room with confident steps, checking the work of the three housemaids under her supervision. At 27 years old, she was no longer just a maid. She was a house manager of the Aonquo residence, earning 200,000 naira every month. Blessing, the dining table needs polishing again, she instructed one of the younger girls. Ngozi, Sir Toby likes his study dusted every morning, not every other morning. Yes, Ma, they chorused. Ma, they called her Ma now. 3 years ago, she'd been the one saying yes, Ma, to everyone. Life had changed in ways she'd never imagined possible. Amara, Toby's voice called from the kitchen. Come, come. Ada made breakfast. She smiled and walked into the kitchen where Toby and his fiancée Ada were laughing together. Ada, Dr. Ada Okonkwo, was a 32-year-old pediatrician with kind eyes and a warm smile. She'd been in Toby's life for 2 years now, and in those 2 years, she treated Amara not as hired help, but as family. Good morning, sir. Good morning, Dr. Ada. Amara, please. Ada laughed. How many times? It's just Ada. We're practically sisters. It was true. Ada had even attended Chitty's 8th birthday party last month, bringing him a bicycle and spending hours teaching him to ride it. That's the kind of woman she was. The wedding planner is coming this afternoon, Toby said, grinning like a schoolboy. 2 months to go. Can you believe it? 2 months, and I'll finally be a married man. About time. Mama Dana called from the stove, where she was preparing lunch. The old cook was still there, still making her delicious meals, still offering her wisdom. After that Cynthia disaster, I prayed you'd find a good woman. Thank God you did. At the mention of Cynthia's name, Amara felt a familiar chill. 3 years had passed, but she'd never forgotten those cold eyes, those threats against Chitty, that evil smile. Mama, don't mention that name in this house, Toby said, his smile fading slightly. That chapter is closed. Cynthia is in prison where she belongs, and I'm with Ada now. That's all that matters. But as if the universe had been listening, Amara's phone buzzed. A news notification. Early release. Socialite Cynthia Adeyemi freed after 4 years on good behavior. The phone slipped from Amara's hands and clattered on the tile floor. Amara? Ada rushed to her side. What's wrong? Toby picked up the phone, read the notification. His face went pale. No, this can't be right. She got 7 years. It's only been 4. Good behavior, Amara whispered, her voice shaking. They released her for good behavior. The kitchen fell silent, except for Mama Dana's wooden spoon stirring the pot. Stir, 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 like a countdown to disaster. It's fine, Toby said, though his voice wasn't steady. She can't come near us. There's a restraining order. She's forbidden from contacting any of us. A piece of paper didn't stop her before, Amara said quietly. That was different. She was desperate then. Now she's been in prison. She's learned her lesson. She'll want to move on with her life, not. Amara's phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. I'm back, and I remember everything. Her hands started shaking. She showed the phone to Toby and Ada. That could be anyone, Ada said, trying to sound calm. A wrong number, or another text. How's little Chitty? Still at Greenfield Academy? Still takes a yellow school bus? Amara's legs gave out. Ada caught her before she fell. Call the police, Toby said immediately. Right now. This is harassment. This is Cynthia, Mama Dana said grimly. That woman promised revenge, and now she's out. That evening, after filing a police report and increasing security at Chitty's school, Amara stood outside her apartment in Lekki Phase 2, a beautiful 3-bedroom flat that Toby had helped her get. Her mother was inside helping Chitty with his homework. Her life was good now. Stable. Safe. Or it had been, until this morning. She looked across the parking lot and froze. A black Honda Accord was parked in the corner, engine running. Someone sitting in the driver's seat, watching. As Amara stared, the car's headlights flashed twice. Then it slowly drove away. But not before she caught a glimpse of the driver's face in the streetlight. Cynthia, older now, Harder. Prison had taken her beauty and replaced it with something cold and sharp. But it was definitely her. Amara's phone buzzed. Another text. Nice apartment. Much better than that one room in Adjugunle you used to have. You've come up in the world, haven't you? Built your success on my ruins. Enjoy it while it lasts. Then another message. This time, a photo. A photo of Chitty getting off the school bus that afternoon, his backpack on his shoulders, smiling and waving at his grandmother. And on the photo, someone had drawn a red circle around his face. Beneath it, cute boy. Still, Amara ran inside, locked every door, checked every window. Her mother saw her face and immediately understood. She's out, isn't she? That demon woman. Amara nodded, unable to speak. We need to tell Olga, Toby. We need to. I already did. The police said there's nothing they can do unless she actually does something. Texts aren't enough for an arrest. So we just wait for her to hurt my grandson. No, Amara said, her fear slowly transforming into something else. Something stronger. We don't wait. We watch. We protect. And if she comes near Chitty, if she comes near any of us... She looked at her mother with fierce eyes. I stopped her once. I'll stop her again. But even as she said it, even as she tried to be brave, one thought kept echoing in her mind. Last time, Cynthia was arrogant and careless. Last time, she underestimated Maid. This time, Cynthia had spent 4 years in prison learning from her mistakes. For years planning. For years feeding her hatred. This time would be different. This time would be worse. And Amara had no idea just how much worse it would get. CTA, she's out. She's watching. And she hasn't forgotten. That text, that photo, that red circle around Chitty's face. This is just the beginning. What will Cynthia do now? You won't believe what happens next. Smash that like button right now. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion. Drop a comment. Would you move away or stand your ground if you were Amara? Turn on notifications because next chapter is where things get dark. Cynthia isn't working alone this time. She's about to meet someone who hates Toby just as much as she does. 2 villains, 1 target. And Amara has no idea what's coming. Don't miss it. Dr. Ada Okonkwo sat in her office at Lagoon Hospital, staring at the letter on her desk. It had arrived that morning with no return address. Just her name typed on the envelope. Inside was a single sentence. You don't belong with him. Leave now while you still can. It was the 3rd letter this week. Dr. Ada? Her nurse poked her head in. Your 2 o'clock appointment is here. Ada quickly folded the letter and shoved it in her drawer with the others. She hadn't told Toby about them. He was already stressed about Cynthia's release. She didn't want to add to his worries. Send them in, she said, forcing a smile. But it wasn't a patient who walked through her door. It was Kenneth Okafor. Ada's blood turned to ice. She hadn't seen him in over 2 years, not since the day she'd broken off their engagement, and moved to a different part of Lagos to get away from him. Hello, Ada, he said, closing the door behind him. He looked exactly the same, tall, handsome, expensively dressed. The kind of man who could charm anyone until you saw what was beneath the surface. Long time. Get out. Ada stood up, her hand moving toward the panic button under her desk. I'll call security. Relax. I just want to talk. He sat down in the patient's chair, completely comfortable, completely in control. I hear congratulations are in order. You're engaged. How did you? Instagram, Facebook, the society pages. You and Tabena Eonkwo are quite the couple. The successful architect and the beautiful doctor. Very impressive. Kenneth, what do you want? His smile vanished. I want you back. That's never going to happen. Why? Because of him. Kenneth's voice turned sharp. I gave you everything, Ada. 2 years we were together. 2 years I waited for you to be ready for marriage. And then you just left. One day you were mine. The next you moved and blocked my number. You were controlling, obsessive. You tracked my phone. You showed up at my workplace unannounced. I was in love. He slammed his hand on her desk. I want to protect you, take care of you, but you called it obsession. It was obsession. You scared me, Kenneth. And this to Bennett doesn't scare you? You know what happened with his last fiancée, right? Cynthia Adeyemi? She tried to kill him. He has terrible judgment in women. That's why I'm perfect for him. Because I'm nothing like Cynthia. Kenneth stood up slowly, walked around her desk until he was standing too close. Ada pressed the panic button. You think you're different, he whispered. But you're making the same mistake she did. You're taking what's mine. I was never yours. You will be, one way or another. Security burst through the door, and Kenneth stepped back, hands raised, smile returning. Just leaving, gentlemen. Just visiting an old friend. He looked at Ada one more time. Think about what I said. You don't belong with him. And if you won't come back willingly... He shrugged. Well, there are other ways. After he left, Ada sat down heavily, her hands shaking. She pulled out her phone and texted Toby. We need to talk. Tonight. It's urgent. Meanwhile, across town in a small room in Mushin, Cynthia Adeyemi sat on a thin mattress, staring at her reflection in a cracked mirror. For years in Kirikiri prison had destroyed her. Her skin, once smooth and glowing, was now rough and scarred from prison fights. Her hair, once long and silky, was now cut short and damaged. Her designer clothes were gone, replaced with cheap second-hand items from Balagan Market. She was 33 years old, but looked 45. Her family had disowned her. Her friends had abandoned her. Emma, the man she'd risked everything for, had refused to even take her calls when he was released last year. She had nothing. She was nothing, except for her hatred, that had only grown stronger in prison. Every day locked in that cell, she thought about Amara, that maid, that nobody, that woman who destroyed everything. I should have killed her when I had the chance, Cynthia muttered to herself. Should have killed her and her brat son. Her phone rang. A bill collector. The third one today. She ignored it. She needed money. She needed a plan. She needed a drink. The bar on Victoria Island was called Eclipse, and it catered to wealthy professionals who wanted to forget their problems for a few hours. Cynthia didn't belong there anymore, not with her cheap clothes and empty wallet, but she slipped in anyway and sat in the darkest corner. What are you drinking? The bartender asked, looking at her with barely concealed disdain. Water, she said quietly. Just water. At the bar, a well-dressed man was on his third whiskey, talking loudly to himself. 2 years, he was saying. 2 years of waiting, and she chooses him? An architect? What does he have that I don't? The bartender just nodded, used the drunk customers and their complaints. Tobena Eanquo, the man continued, slurring slightly. That's his name. Tobena. She left me for him. Cynthia's head snapped up. Did he just say? Sir, she called out. Sorry, I couldn't help it over here. Did you say Tobena Eanquo? The man turned to look at her. Yes. Why? You know him? Cynthia moved to the bar, sat on the stool next to him. Know him? I almost married him. The man's eyes widened. You're Cynthia Adeyemi. I remember now. The trial was all over the news. In the flesh. What's left of it, anyway? She studied him. Expensive suit, gold watch, the kind of man who had money and power. And you are? Kenneth Okafor. And apparently we have something in common. What's that? We both lost someone at Bena Eanquo. Cynthia felt something click in her mind. Lost someone? Who? Ada Okonkwo, the love of my life. We were engaged. Then she met him, and suddenly I wasn't good enough anymore. Ada, Cynthia repeated. That's his new fiancée? The one he's marrying in 2 months. Unfortunately, yes. They looked at each other, and slowly, understanding dawned. You want her back, Cynthia said. More than anything. And I want... She paused. What did she want? Revenge. I want Abena to suffer the way I suffered. I want his maid Amara to lose everything she gained by betraying me. Kenneth ordered another drink, this time for both of them. Tell me everything. And Cynthia did. She told him about the murder plot, about Emma, about how she'd been caught, about how it was all Amara's fault. That maid who'd overheard everything and hidden that note in the wedding suit. If it wasn't for her, Cynthia said bitterly, I'd be Mrs. Aonquo right now. Rich, comfortable, happy. Instead, you did 4 years in Kurikiri. The worst 4 years of my life. Kenneth was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, What if we work together? What? You want revenge on Debena and his maid. I want Ada back. We both have the same targets. But what can we do? They're expecting trouble from me. They'll be watching. They're not expecting trouble from me. I have connections, city government, business contacts, resources. I can attack from angles they won't see coming. Cynthia's pulse quickened. Like what? His business, his architecture firm. I can sabotage projects, cancel permits, turn investors against him. I can make his professional life a nightmare. And Ada, Kenneth's smile turned cold. I know her weaknesses. I know what scares her. I know how to break her. But that doesn't hurt Amara. And I want her to suffer most of all. Then we make her watch, Kenneth said simply. We destroy Debena's business, break up his relationship, ruin his life. And his precious house manager, Amara, gets to witness it all and knows she's powerless to stop it. Then, when she's desperate and vulnerable, he trailed off meaningfully. We take her son, Cynthia finished, her eyes gleaming. We take Chitty. Not take. Too risky. But threaten. Make her think we might. Make her choose between protecting Debena and protecting her child. The same choice she faced 3 years ago. Only this time, Cynthia said, we make sure she chooses wrong. They clinked glasses, sealing the pact. How do we start? Cynthia asked. Kenneth pulled out his phone, opened his contacts. I have a friend at the Lagos State Planning Authority. Debena has 3 major projects under construction right now. By this time next week, he'll have 3 major problems. And Ada, leave her to me. I know how to make her doubt everything. How to make her question Debena's love. How to plant seeds that will destroy them from within. Cynthia laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Exactly. They think the threat is over. They think you're the only danger. They have no idea I exist. When do we start? Tomorrow. But first, you need better clothes and a place to stay. Can't have you looking like... He gestured at her appearance. That. You need to look presentable if you're going to help me execute this plan. For the first time in 4 years, Cynthia felt something other than despair. She felt hope. Dark, twisted hope. But hope nonetheless. Kenneth, she said, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. No, he corrected, his smile sharp as a knife. This is the beginning of their ending. That night, as they left the bar together, neither of them noticed the old man sitting in the corner, the one who'd been reading his newspaper the entire time, the one whose daughter was married to a detective in the Lagos State Police, the one who'd heard every single word they'd said. But that information wouldn't reach the right people for another 3 days. And by then, the first attack would already be underway. No. This is bad. This is very bad. 2 villains with one mission. Destroy everyone Amara loves. Cynthia has a hatred. Kenneth has the money and power. Together they're deadly. And the worst part? Amara has no idea Kenneth even exists. She's watching out for Cynthia, but the real danger is coming from a direction she can't see. What's their plan? How will they attack? And will Amara figure out what's happening before it's too late? Smash that like button. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion. Comment right now. Which villain is more dangerous, Cynthia or Kenneth? Next chapter is when they strike. Business sabotage, threatening letters, drug drinks, and compromising photos. By the end of next chapter, Toby and Ada's relationship will be in pieces, and Amara will be facing her worst nightmare. You do not want to miss this. Turn on notifications now. Monday morning. Debena Aonquo walked into his office at Aonquo and Associates with a coffee in his hand and optimism in his heart. His business was thriving. 3 major construction projects running simultaneously, a new contract with a shopping mall developer just signed last week, and a wedding to plan with the woman he loved. Life was good. Morning, sir. His assistant Bim greeted him. You have a message from the Lagos State Planning Authority. What about? They didn't say. Just asked you to call them urgently. Toby shrugged and dialed a number. Probably just some routine permit question. Mr. Eanquo. The official on the other end said, I'm calling about your project in Kui, the residential complex on Awolowo Road. Yes? What about it? Your building permit has been suspended pending investigation. Toby's coffee cup paused halfway to his mouth. Suspended? Investigation? For what? Structural violations. Our inspector found several issues with your foundation work. That's impossible. We had 3 inspections already. Everything passed. Nevertheless, work must stop immediately until this is resolved. We'll be sending a formal notice today. But we're already 2 months into construction. We have deadlines, contract with buyers. I'm sorry, Mr. Eanquo. The suspension is effective immediately. The call ended. Toby sat down heavily, his mind racing. This made no sense. He'd personally overseen those inspections. Everything was perfect. Before he could process it, Bimp knocked again. Sir, Mr. Okafor from First Bank is on line 2. He says it's urgent. Mr. Okafor was the investor who'd put up 150 million naira for the Koi project. To Benna, the man said when Toby picked up, I'm withdrawing my investment. What? Why? I've been hearing concerning things about your company. Structural violations. Cutting corners to save costs. Those are lies. Who told you that? A business associate. Someone I trust. I can't afford to have my name associated with substandard construction. I'm pulling out. Mr. Okafor, please, if you just give me a chance to. My lawyers will be in touch about the withdrawal process. I'm sorry, Tabena. Click. Toby stared at his phone in disbelief. In the space of 10 minutes, his biggest project had been shut down and his major investor had pulled out. This wasn't coincidence. This was sabotage. But who and how? By Wednesday, 2 more Toby's projects had encountered unexpected issues. Permits denied, inspections failed, investors suddenly getting cold feet. Someone with serious connections was systematically destroying his business. At home, Amara watched him grow more stressed and exhausted each day. She wanted to help, but what could she do against faceless enemies with power? Sir, she said as she brought him dinner in his study, maybe you should call your lawyer. This has to be illegal. It's all technically legal, Amara. That's the genius of it. Every permit denial has an official reason. Every inspection failure is documented. Whoever is doing this knows how to work the system. You think it's Cynthia? How could it be? She just got out of prison. She has no money, no connections. Unless, he looked up, unless she's working with someone. But before they could pursue that thought, Ada arrived, and she looked terrible. Dark circles under her eyes, hands shaking as she set down her purse. Ada, darling, what's wrong? Toby rushed to her. She pulled out a stack of letters from her bag and threw them on the table. Amara picked one up and read, He doesn't love you. He's using you to forget his dead fiancé. Leave before you become victim number 2. Another one. Check his company accounts. See where the money really goes. He's hiding something. And another, his maid Amara, ask him why he really keeps her around. Ask him what they do when you're not there. These have been coming for 2 weeks, Ada said, her voice breaking. Every day, a new letter. At my hospital, at my apartment, even sent to my mother's house. Toby reached for her, but she pulled away. And then today someone sent me these. She pulled out her phone, showed them a series of photos. Photos of Toby and Amara, taken through windows, from across streets. Innocent moments made it look suspicious. Toby laughing with Amara, Toby's hand on her shoulder, Toby hugging her after she'd gotten emotional about her son. Ada, these are completely innocent. You know that. Amara is like family. I know that, Ada shouted. I know that, but whoever is sending these wants me to doubt you. And Toby, her voice cracked. It's working. I hate that it's working, but it is. I keep wondering, what if there's something I don't see? What if, Ada, I love you. Only you. I know you do, but I'm scared. Your business is falling apart. Someone is harassing me, threatening me, and I don't know what to do. Amara's phone buzzed. She looked down at the text message, and her blood ran cold. It was a photo of Chitty at school, taken that very day. And beneath it, pretty boy, would be such a shame if something happened to him. Tell Ada to make the right choice. Sir, Amara said quietly, showing them the phone. It's not just about you two. They're threatening Chitty again. The three of them looked at each other, the weight of their situation settling over them like a dark cloud. Someone was orchestrating all of this. Someone who knew all their vulnerabilities. Someone with resources and intelligence and patience. But who? On Friday afternoon, Kenneth Okafor sent Ada a text from an unknown number. Lunch? We need to talk about moving forward. For old time's sake. Proof I've moved on. 1 hour Sky Restaurant, Victoria Island. Ada knew she shouldn't go. Every instinct screamed it was a trap. But Kenneth claimed he'd moved on, claimed he wanted closure. And honestly, she was so stressed and confused that part of her wanted to believe him, wanted to believe not everyone in her life was an enemy. She texted Toby, meeting Kenneth for lunch. He says he wants closure. I'll be fine. Love you. Toby texted back immediately. I don't think that's a good idea. Please don't go. But Ada was already on her way. Sky Restaurant was beautiful. Rooftop dining with views of the Lagos skyline. Kenneth was already there, looking handsome and apologetic. Ada, thank you for coming. I wasn't sure you would. I almost didn't. Kenneth, if this is another attempt to... It's not. I promise. He raised his hands in surrender. Look, I know I was obsessive before. I know I scared you, but I've been in therapy. I've been working on myself. I just wanted to apologize properly and wish you well. He seemed sincere, calm, different from the controlling man she'd left. Okay, she said carefully. Apology accepted. They ordered food and talked. Just talked. About work, about life, about mutual friends. It was nice, normal. For the first time in weeks, Ada felt herself relax slightly. Water? Kenneth offered, pouring from the bottle on the table. Thanks. She took a sip. 20 minutes later, Ada felt strange, dizzy. The room seemed to tilt. Kenneth, I don't feel well. It's probably the heat. Let me take you to your car. He helped her stand, his arm around her waist. To anyone watching, it looked like a gentleman helping his dizzy lunch companion. But as they left the restaurant, Kenneth positioned her against a wall, leaned close as if whispering something comforting, and his cousin, who'd been waiting nearby with a professional camera, snapped photos from multiple angles. Ada, dizzy and confused, her eyes half closed. Kenneth's face close to hers, his hand on her waist, the angle making it look like they were kissing, like they were intimate, like Ada was cheating on her fiancé. Perfect, Kenneth murmured. Absolutely perfect. Kenneth, Ada slurred. What did you do? Just a little sedative in your water, darling. Nothing permanent. You'll wake up in your car in a few hours and barely remember this. But these photos, he showed her the camera. These will remember everything. You drugged me. I told you, you belong with me. And if you won't come willingly, I'll destroy your relationship until I'm the only one left. Ada tried to fight, tried to scream, but the drug was too strong. Kenneth guided her to her car, put her in the passenger seat, and left her there. She woke up 4 hours later, groggy and confused, with no clear memory of what had happened after that water. That evening, Toby's phone pinged. An anonymous email with photos attached. He opened them and felt his world collapse. Ada, kissing Kenneth, looking intimate, passionate, willing. The timestamp showed today. During the lunch she'd told him about. No, he whispered. No, she wouldn't. But the photos looked real. So real. When Ada came to mansion an hour later, still slightly groggy, still confused, Toby met her at the door with his tablet showing the photos. "Explain this," he said coldly. Ada looked at the photos and her face went white. That's not what happened. He drugged me. Toby, I swear he put something in my water and... You're telling me you had lunch with your obsessive ex-boyfriend and he just happened to drug you and stage photos? Yes, that's exactly what happened. Ada, I can see your eyes in these photos. You look conscious. You look... He couldn't finish the sentence. I was drugged. I was dizzy, confused. I couldn't think straight. Why did you even go to lunch with him? I told you not to go. Because I thought he'd changed. Because I wanted to believe not everyone in my life is trying to destroy me. She was crying now, desperate. Toby, please. You know me. You know I would never. I thought I knew Cynthia, too. I thought she loved me. I was wrong then. How do I know I'm not wrong now? Because I'm not Cynthia. Then how do you explain these photos? I just did. He drugged me and staged them. That's convenient. Very convenient. Toby, please. I need time, he said, his voice breaking. I need you to leave. Toby, no. Leave. His shout echoed through the mansion. Ada stood there, tears streaming down her face. Then she turned and ran. Amara had been watching from the hallway. She rushed after Ada, caught her outside. Doctor, Ada, wait. He doesn't believe me. Ada sobbed. I told him the truth, and he doesn't believe me. I believe you. Ada looked up, surprised. I believe you, Amara repeated firmly, because I've seen this before. This is exactly what Cynthia would do. Frame someone, manipulate evidence, make the victim look guilty. But the photos look so real. That's the point. That's how manipulation works. Amara held Ada's shoulders. Listen to me. Someone is doing this to you. Someone who knows how to hurt Sir Toby's heart. Someone who wants to break you two apart. Kenneth, Ada whispered. It has to be Kenneth. But how would he know about Cynthia? How would he know Sir Toby's vulnerabilities? And then it clicked, for both of them simultaneously. What if they're working together? Amara said, Cynthia and Kenneth? Think about it. Cynthia has the hatred and the inside knowledge. Kenneth has the money and the connections. Together they could destroy everything. Ada finished. Oh, God. Oh, God. Amara, what do we do? Before Amara could answer, her phone buzzed. A video this time. Chitty at school, playing on the playground. And standing at the fence, watching him, was a woman in sunglasses. Cynthia. The video zoomed in on Chitty's happy, innocent face. Then the screen went black and text appeared. 48 hours. Tell your boss to fire you and leave Lagos forever, or the boy disappears. Your choice, hero. Amara's legs gave out. Ada caught her. No. Amara whispered. No, not Chitty. Please, God, not Chitty. We have to tell Sir Toby. We have to call the police. The police didn't help last time. They said threats aren't enough. Amara was shaking violently. She's at his school. Ada, she's watching my baby right now. Back at the mansion, Mama Dana appeared at the door. Girls, come inside. Someone is here. They walked in to find Cynthia sitting in the living room, looking at Toby with a sympathetic smile that made Amara's blood boil. I heard about what happened, Cynthia was saying to Toby, with Ada and her ex. I'm so sorry. I know what it's like to be betrayed. What are you doing here? Amara demanded. You have a restraining order, which I'm violating for a good reason. I came to apologize to Debena for everything I did 3 years ago. I've changed. Prison changed me. She looked at Toby with practiced sincerity. I want you to know I'm sorry, and I want you to be happy, even if it's not with me. Toby looked at her warily. You expect me to believe you've changed? I don't expect anything. I just wanted you to know. And she glanced at Amara with a look that said everything. I want everyone to know that the past is the past. We all need to move forward. By threatening my son, Amara said quietly, I have no idea what you're talking about. Cynthia stood up. I've said what I came to say. To Benna, I hope you find happiness. And Amara, she smiled. I hope you find peace. After she left, Amara showed Toby the video of Chitty. His face changed immediately. All his anger at Ada vanished, replaced by concern. We call the police. Right now. And they'll say the same thing they said last week. Threats aren't enough. She needs to actually do something first. So, what do? Amara looked at him, at Ada, at Mama Dana, at the three people who become her family. And she made a decision. We fight back. They broke them apart. They framed an innocent woman. And now Cynthia is at Chitty School. 48 hours. That's all Amara has before they make good on their threat. But did you see it? Did you see that look Cynthia and Toby shared? Something's not right. Something's about to happen that none of them expect. This is not over. Smash that like button. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion. Comment right now, what should Amara do? Run and hide or stand and fight? Chapter is when Amara transforms from victim to hunter. She's about to follow Cynthia, discover the truth about Kenneth, and set a trap of her own. The maid who saved a life is about to save it again. Turn on notifications because you will not see this twist coming. Amara didn't sleep that night. She couldn't. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw that video of Cynthia watching Chitty through the school fence. At 5 a.m., she made a decision. She called her mother. Mama, pack Chitty's things. I'm taking you both to Abaddon. Mama Dana's sister will keep you safe. Amara, you can't run from this woman forever. I'm not running. I'm protecting Chitty so I can fight without fear. Please, Mama. Trust me. By 7 a.m., Chitty and her mother were on a bus to Abaddon. Amara had told the school Chitty was sick and would be away for a week. Now Cynthia and Kenneth couldn't use him as leverage. Now Amara could focus. She went to Toby's study where he sat, still staring at those photos of Ada. Sir, I need to take a few days off. Amara, this is not the time. I'm going to find out who's behind this. The business sabotage, the threatening letters, everything. I think Cynthia is working with someone, and I'm going to prove it. Toby looked up at her. How? By doing what I did 3 years ago. By listening. By watching. By being the person no one notices. She pulled out her phone. I've been tracking Cynthia's movements. She doesn't know I have a friend who works at the cell phone company. I know where she's been going. That's illegal. So it's conspiracy to commit murder. Sir, do you trust me? He looked at her for a long moment. You saved my life once. Let me do it again. Amara followed Cynthia for 2 days. On Thursday afternoon, she watched Cynthia enter a cafe in Victoria Island and sit down with a man, a handsome, well-dressed man, who looked at Cynthia like they were old friends. Amara took photos from across the street. Then she went inside, took a table nearby, hid behind a large plant, and opened her phone's voice recorder. Going exactly as planned, Kenneth was saying. Toby's business is in ruins. 3 projects shut down, investors pulling out. By next week, he'll be facing bankruptcy. And Ada, Cynthia asked, broken up with him as of yesterday. The photos work perfectly. He thinks she cheated. Beautiful. And the maid. Your threats are working. I saw her put her kid on a bus to Abaddon this morning. She's scared. Good. Fear is good. But it's not enough. I want her destroyed. The way she destroyed me. Kenneth leaned back in his chair. I've been thinking about that. What if we frame Toby for fraud? How? I have an IT guy who can hack his company accounts. Make it look like he's been embezzling from his own firm. Set up fake offshore accounts in his name. The evidence will be undeniable. And when he's arrested, when his reputation is destroyed, when he loses everything, Ada will be alone, vulnerable. I can swoop in, be her shoulder to cry on, get her back. And I get the satisfaction of watching him rot in prison. Plus, his firm will be seized. I have connections to buy it at auction for pennies. We split the profits. 20 million naira at least. Cynthia smiled. When the hack happens tomorrow, Evidence gets discovered next week. He'll be arrested within days. Amara's hand was shaking so hard she almost dropped her phone, but she kept recording. She needed everything. What about the maid? Cynthia asked. How do we make her really suffer? We don't touch her kid. Too risky. Too many cameras at schools these days. But we make her think we might. Keep sending threats. Make her choose between protecting Toby and protecting her son. When she chooses her son, and she will, we make sure Toby knows she abandoned him in his darkest hour. Perfect. She becomes a villain in his story. The ungrateful maid who ran away when he needed her. Exactly. They clinked coffee cups, sealing the deal. Amara had heard enough. She had it all recorded. But recordings alone weren't enough. She'd learned that 3 years ago. She needed them to confess in front of witnesses. She needed a trap. That evening, Amara showed the recording to Ada. They were sitting in Ada's apartment, curtains drawn, doors locked. Kenneth, Ada whispered after listening. I knew he was obsessive, but this is psychotic. He's the one who drugged you, staged those photos. And he's working with Cynthia. They're planning to frame Sir Toby for fraud tomorrow. We have maybe 24 hours. Ada stood up, pacing. We go to the police. Right now, with this recording. And they'll say we recorded them illegally. The evidence is inadmissible. Or Kenneth uses his connections to make it disappear. We need something better. Like what? Amar was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then we make them confess. On camera. With witnesses. Just like last time. How? I'll tell Cynthia I'm done fighting. That I'll help them. She'll never believe you. She will if I give her what she wants. If I offer her something she can't resist. Amara pulled out her phone, typed a message to the number that had been threatening her. You win. I can't fight anymore. I'll do what you want. I'll give you Sir Toby's account passwords, business documents, everything. Just please leave my son alone. Can we meet? I need to look you in the eye and know he'll be safe. Ada grabbed her arm. Amara, this is dangerous. If they realize it's a trap, then I'm probably dead. But if I do nothing, Sir Toby goes to prison, his business is destroyed, and you lose him forever. I can't let that happen. The phone buzzed. Cynthia's reply. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. The mansion. Come alone. Bring the documents. And Amara, if you're lying, if this is a trick, your son will disappear. I don't care if he's in a Abaddon. I will find him. Amara typed back. I understand. I'll be there. Alone. She looked at Ada. Now we set the trap. They went to Toby together. He was drunk, miserable, surrounded by financial documents showing his crumbling business. Sir, Amara said gently, we know who's doing this, and we know how to stop them. She played the recording. Toby's face transformed, shock, horror, rage, and then finally, guilt as he looked at Ada. You were telling the truth. He drugged you. The photos were fake. Ada finished quietly. But you didn't believe me. I'm so sorry. After Cynthia, I couldn't see clearly. I thought, we can talk about this later. Amara interrupted. Right now, we have one chance to stop them. Tomorrow night. Here. She explained the plan. Toby listened, then called his lawyer and a detective friend. Are you sure this will work? It worked 3 years ago. It'll work now. Friday evening, 7:30 p.m. The mansion was quiet. Police were hidden in the servant quarters. Cameras were set up in the living room. Toby and Ada were in the study with the door cracked open. Mama Dana had prepared fake documents, bank account information, passwords, business contracts. All looked real but completely useless. At 8 p.m. exactly, a car pulled up. Kenneth and Cynthia got out together. Amara met them at the door, looking scared and defeated. You came together? Of course, Cynthia said, walking in like she owned the place. Where's the Benna? Business trip. Dubai. He doesn't know I'm doing this. Kenneth looked around suspiciously. Where's everyone else? The cook, the other staff? I sent them home. Like you said, alone. They entered the living room. Amara spread documents on the coffee table. Bank accounts, passwords, project files, everything you asked for. Kenneth examined them while Cynthia watched Amara with cruel satisfaction. "You look different," Cynthia said. "Broken. Good. This is how I looked 4 years ago. Thanks to you, I was trying to save an innocent man. You were trying to be a hero, and now look at you, giving up everything to save your son. That's the difference between us. Amara, I would have sacrificed anything for money. You'll sacrifice anything for love. It makes you weak." "Maybe, but at least I can sleep at night." Kenneth looked up from the documents. "These look genuine. This is everything we need." "Then we have a deal?" Amara asked. "You leave Chitty alone?" "That depends," Cynthia said. "How do we know you won't turn on us later?" "Because I'm tired. I'm done fighting. I just want my son safe and my life back." Kenneth stood up, walked around her slowly. "You really have given up, haven't you? The mighty Maid, the hero who exposed Cynthia. Now, just another scared single mother. Say whatever you want. Just keep your word about Chitty." "About that," Cynthia said, pulling out her phone to show photos of Mama Dana's sister's house in Abaddon. "We know exactly where he is. If you cross us, we'll take him. And this time, there won't be a note in a wedding suit to save anyone." Amara's fear was real, but so was her resolve. "So what happens now?" she asked. Cynthia smiled. "Now we destroy Tabena completely." "The fraud charges go through next week," Kenneth said. "With these account passwords, we can complete the hack. Make it look like he's been stealing from his own company for years." "He'll go to prison," Cynthia added. "His business will be seized, his reputation ruined." "And me?" Amara asked. "You'll disappear. Take your son and leave Lagos. Forever. Because if you stay, if you talk, accidents happen. To you, to your mother, to precious little Chitty." "And Ada?" Amara pushed. "What happens to her?" Kenneth's smile was predatory. "Ada comes back to me, where she belongs. Once Tabena is destroyed, once she has no one else, I'll be there, comforting her, loving her, taking what should have been mine all along. You're both insane." "We're both winners," Cynthia corrected. "You got lucky once, Amara. You found that affair by accident. But this time we planned everything perfectly. No mistakes. No notes hidden in suits. No last-minute rescues." "You really think so?" Amara asked quietly. "What?" "You really think there won't be a last-minute rescue?" Cynthia's face changed. "What did you—" The lights turned on fully. Police emerged from every door. Toby and Ada stepped out of the study. Detective Williams held up his phone. Every word recorded. Every confession documented. "No!" Cynthia screamed. "You bitch! Not again!" She lunged at Amara, but police grabbed her before she got close. Kenneth tried to run, but 2 officers tackled him by the door. "Conspiracy to commit fraud," Detective Williams said. "Drugging and assault, stalking, harassment, threatening a minor, false evidence manufacturing. We have it all on tape. Multiple witnesses. This time, you're both going away for a very long time." Cynthia was screaming, fighting against the handcuffs. "I'll kill you. I'll kill your son. You'll do nothing," the detective said coldly, "except spend the next 15 years in prison thinking about your mistakes." Kenneth had gone silent, his face pale, realizing everything was over. As they were let out, Cynthia looked at Amara one last time. "I underestimated you," she said quietly. "Twice." "You underestimated a mother's love," Amara replied. "That was your mistake." After they were gone, after the police left, after the lawyers had taken statements, Toby stood looking at Amara with tears in his eyes. "You did it again. You saved me again. We saved each other, sir. All of us." She looked at Ada. "We're family." Ada pulled them both into a hug, crying. "I'm so sorry I doubted you, Toby. The photos, the drugs, I should have known. I should have believed you. I'm the one who's sorry." "Mama Dana," appeared with a tray of food. Enough crying. Let's eat. We survived. And they did. All four of them, sitting around the dining table, eating and laughing and crying and healing. She did it. Amara saved them again. The recording, the trap, the confession, perfect. Cynthia and Kenneth in handcuffs, screaming defeated. But is it really over? Will they actually go to prison this time? And what happens to Toby, Ada, and Amara after this nightmare? One more chapter. The final chapter where we see justice served. A wedding happen, and Amara get the reward she truly deserves. Smash that like. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion. Comment. Did you guess Amara would set a trap? Final chapter drops next, and it's everything. Justice, love, family, and the ending the story deserves. Turn on notifications now. 2 months later, the Lagos High Court was packed. Media cameras lined the hallway. This wasn't just another trial. This was a conclusion of a story that had captivated the city for weeks. Amara sat in the gallery with Chitty on one side and her mother on the other. Toby and Ada sat in front of them, hands intertwined. Mama Dana had made them all pray before leaving the house that morning. "This one no go Sheej," she'd said in pidgin. "God, go punish them well. Now, as the judge entered, everyone stood. In the case of the state versus Cynthia Adeyemi and Kenneth Okafor, the evidence had been overwhelming. The recorded confessions, the fake photos Kenneth had staged, the IT expert who testified that Kenneth paid him to hack Toby's accounts, the phone records showing months of coordination between the two defendants. But the most powerful testimony had come from Ada. She'd stood on that witness stand and described, in clinical detail, how Kenneth had drugged her, how she'd woken up hours later with gaps in her memory, how the hospital tests had confirmed sedatives in her bloodstream. "I trusted him," she'd said, tears streaming down her face. "We'd been engaged. I thought he'd change. Instead, he violated me in the worst way possible. He stole my agency, my consciousness, my autonomy, and he did it to destroy the man I love." Kenneth's lawyers had tried to argue entrapment, illegal recording, but the judge had shut them down. "These defendants threatened a child," Judge Adewale had said. "They conspire to commit fraud, to falsely imprison an innocent man, to destroy multiple lives." The recording was made by a civilian protecting herself and others from clear and present danger. It's admissible. Now, as the verdict was about to be read, Amara held Chitty's hand and prayed silently. "Please, God, let justice win. Let good triumph over evil. Let them pay for what they tried to do. On the charge of conspiracy to commit fraud, how do you find defendants?" The jury foreman stood. "Guilty, Your Honor." Gasps filled the courtroom. Cynthia's mother wailed from the back row. "On the charge of stalking and harassment?" "Guilty, Your Honor." "On the charge of drugging and assault?" "Guilty, Your Honor." "On the charge of threatening a minor?" "Guilty, Your Honor." Kenneth's head dropped to the table. Cynthia was shaking, her face pale. The judge looked at them both with disgust. "Kenneth Okafor, Cynthia Adeyemi, you've been found guilty on all counts. Your crimes are particularly heinous because they were calculated, sustained, and targeted vulnerable people, including a child." She paused, letting that sink in. "Ms. Adeyemi, this is your second offense involving conspiracy to murder. Mr. Okafor, your abuse of your connections and resources to harm others shows a complete lack of moral character. I hereby sentence Cynthia Adeyemi to 18 years imprisonment." Cynthia collapsed, screaming, and Kenneth Okafor to 15 years imprisonment. Kenneth sat motionless, destroyed. Both sentences to be served at Kirikiri Maximum Security Prison with no possibility of parole for at least 10 years. Court is adjourned. The gavel came down. It was over. Outside the courthouse, Amara stood with her family, because that's what they were now, watching as Cynthia and Kenneth were led away in prison vans. Cynthia looked out the window one last time. Not at Toby, not at Ada, at Amara. Their eyes met for a brief second. And in that second, Amara saw it. Not hatred anymore, not rage, just defeat, acceptance, the knowledge that she'd lost. Completely, finally, The van drove away. "It's really over," Toby said, almost not believing it. "It's really over," Ada confirmed, leaning into him. Chitty tugged on Amara's hand. "Mama, can we go home now? I'm hungry." Amara laughed, a real, genuine laugh for the first time in months, and picked up her son. "Yes, baby, we can go home." 3 months later. The wedding was beautiful. Not as big as the almost wedding 3 years ago. Only 150 guests instead of 300, but infinitely more genuine. Toby stood at the altar in a new suit, not the navy blue one from before. That one was in a frame on his office wall as a reminder, watching as Ada walked down the aisle. She was stunning in a simple white dress, her smile radiant, her eyes clear. When she reached him, he whispered, "Are you sure? After everything?" "After everything," she interrupted. "I'm more sure than ever. You're my partner, my best friend, my love." The ceremony was perfect. The vows were tearful. And when the priest said, "You may kiss the bride," the applause was deafening. But the most emotional moment came during Toby's speech at the reception. 3 years ago, he said, voice shaking slightly, "I almost married someone who wanted me dead. I was saved by a note in a suit pocket, a note written by a woman who risked everything to tell me the truth." He looked at Amara, who was sitting at the head table in a beautiful dress that Ada had insisted on buying for her. Amara was my employee. Now she's my partner. She owns 15% of Aeon Quo and Associates. Gasps from the crowd. Amara's eyes went wide. She'd known about the 10% he'd offered, but 15%? She's also the godmother to our future children. She's family. And in 6 months, when she starts her own business consultancy firm, I'll be her first investor. The applause was thunderous. Amara was crying. Ada was crying. Mama Dana was crying and shouting, "Thank you, Jesus." Later, when the music started and people were dancing, Ada pulled Amara aside. "I have something for you." She handed her an envelope. Inside was a deed to a house. A 4-bedroom house in Lekki Phase 1, not far from Toby's mansion. "Ada, this is too much." "It's not enough. You saved Toby's life twice. You saved our relationship. You saved everything. That house, it's not a gift. It's a thank you. It's a down payment on a debt we can never fully repay. I didn't do it for rewards. I know. That's exactly why you deserve them." Ada hugged her tight. "You're my sister, Amara, my sister in every way that matters." 6 months later, Amara stood in her new house, her house, with her name on the deed, watching Chitty play in the backyard. He was 9 now, thriving in school, happy and safe. Her mother was healthy, living in the guest room, cooking in a kitchen 3 times the size of their old one. On the wall was a business license, Amara Nonso Consulting Business Strategy and Management. She had 5 clients already, all referred by Toby. She was making money, building something of her own. The doorbell rang. It was Ada, very pregnant now, waddling in with a smile. "The baby kicked 3 times this morning. Toby thinks it's a boy. I think it's a girl." "Either way," Amara said, guiding her to the couch, "they'll be loved. And you'll be their godmother, their protector, just like you protected us." They sat together, watching Chitty play, talk about the future, about dreams and possibilities and all the beautiful things that came after surviving nightmares. Later that evening, as Amara tucked Chitty into bed in his own room in their own house, he asked, "Mama, why do people call you a hero?" She thought about it carefully. "I'm not a hero, baby. I'm just a mother who loves you. And sometimes love makes us braver than we ever thought we could be. Like when you stop those bad people. Like when I protected the people I love. That's what we do for family." "Is Mr. Toby family?" "Yes." "And Dr. Ada?" "Yes." "And Mama Dana?" "Yes." "And Grandma?" "Of course. So we have a big family now." Amara smiled, kissed his forehead. "The biggest, the best, the family we chose and the family that chose us." After he fell asleep, she walked downstairs where her mother was watching the news. A story about prison reforms. A brief mention that former socialite Cynthia Adeyemi and businessman Kenneth Okafor were adjusting to life behind bars. You think they're really sorry? Her mother asked. I think they're sorry they got caught. But maybe after enough years, they'll be sorry for what they did. Either way, they can't hurt anyone anymore. And you? Are you happy? Amara looked around her beautiful house, thought about her healthy son, her thriving business, her chosen family, her hard-won peace. Yes, Mama, I'm happy. Finally, 1 year later, Toby and Ada's daughter, Amara Blessing Eonkwo, was baptized on a sunny Sunday afternoon. We named her after you, Ada said, handing the baby to Amara. Our Amara saved us. Now this Amara represents our new beginning. Amara held the tiny baby, this child who bore her name, and felt a circle completing. From desperate maid to house manager, to business owner to godmother, from victim to survivor to hero. She's perfect, Amara whispered. So are you, Toby said quietly. Amara, I've been thinking about everything that happened, about how close I came to not being here, to not seeing this day. My daughter, my wife, this life. Sir, how many times must I tell you? It's Toby. She smiled. Toby, you gave me this, all of this, twice. How does someone repay that? You already have. The house, the business, the opportunities, the trust. That's not enough. It's more than enough. Then let me say it this way. Thank you for your courage when I had none, for your wisdom when I was blind, for your loyalty when I had betrayed myself. Thank you for being the person who sees clearly when others are lost. Thank you for being Amara. She hugged him, this man who'd once been just an employer and was now family, and whispered, Thank you for being the kind of person worth saving. That evening, as the sun set over Lagos, Amara stood on her balcony watching the city lights come on one by one. Her phone buzzed, a message from her new client, thanking her for the business strategy that had saved their company. Another message from Chitty's teacher, praising his excellent grades. Another from Ada, a photo of baby Amara sleeping peacefully. She thought about the girl she'd been 5 years ago, crying outside a hospital because she couldn't afford her mother's medical bills, working brutal hours for cruel employers, watching Chitty go hungry because money was tight. She thought about the woman she'd been 3 years ago, terrified but brave, hiding a note in a wedding suit, risking everything for truth. And she thought about the woman she was now, business owner, godmother, hero, not because of what she had, but because of what she'd done, the choices she'd made, the courage she'd found. Mama? Chitty called from inside. Come see. My science project got an A+. She turned from the balcony, walked back into her warm, safe, beautiful home and thought, this is what victory looks like. Not revenge, not destruction, but peace, safety, family, love. And somewhere in Kirikiri prison, Cynthia and Kenneth sat in separate cells, each remembering the moment they'd underestimated a maid, the moment that had cost them everything, the moment they'd learned that courage doesn't come from wealth or power. It comes from having something worth fighting for. And Amara? She had everything worth fighting for. 2 years later, the Aeon Quo and Associates annual company dinner was held at the Eco Hotel. 200 employees and their families filled the ballroom. Toby stood at the podium, Ada beside him with baby Amara, now 18 months old, on her hip, and began his speech. 5 years ago, this company nearly died, not from market forces or competition, but from evil, from people who wanted to destroy it for their own gain. The room was silent. We survived because of one person's courage, Amara Nonso. Spotlight turned to Amara's table where she sat with Chitty, now 11 years old and wearing a suit, and her mother. Amara is no longer just our house manager. She's a partner in this firm. She runs her own successful consultancy. She's a godmother to my daughter. She's family. But more than that, she's proof that heroism doesn't come in the packages we expect. It comes in the form of a single mother working multiple jobs, a woman who society overlooked, someone the world called just a maid. He looked directly at Amara, his eyes shining. There is no just about her. She's extraordinary. And every success this company achieves, every building we construct, every dream we help build, it exists because she had the courage to hide a note in a suit pocket 5 years ago, and the courage to set a trap 3 years ago. Twice, she saved my life. Twice, she saved all of us. The applause was deafening. Everyone stood. Chitty was crying with pride, hugging his mother. Later, as they were leaving, a young woman approached Amara nervously. "Excuse me, Ma. I'm Joy. I work in accounting. I just want to say your story inspired me. I'm a single mother, too. 2 kids. I was ready to give up, but hearing how you fought, how you didn't let anyone define your worth, it gave me strength." Amara held her hand. "Then you're stronger than you know. Keep fighting. Keep rising. And remember, you're not just anything. You're a mother, a survivor, a warrior. Never forget that." The woman left crying tears of gratitude. Ada appeared beside Amara. "You know what's beautiful? You don't just save individuals. You inspire hundreds, thousands, everyone who hears your story." "It's not about the story," Amara said quietly. "It's about the truth in it, that any of us can be brave when we have to be, that love is stronger than evil, that the smallest voice can speak the loudest truth, and that sometimes," Toby added, joining them with baby Amara reaching for a godmother, "the maid is a hero." 3 years ago, Cynthia Adeyemi tried to murder a good man for money. She failed. 3 years later, she tried again with a partner who had power and connections. She failed again. Why? Because she underestimated a mother's love. Because she forgot that courage doesn't require wealth. Because she didn't understand that the smallest person in the room can be the strongest. Today, Cynthia and Kenneth serve their sentences in Kirikiri prison. Today, Amara Nanso owns her own home, runs her own business, and lives in peace. Today, Tabena and Ada Ayonkwo celebrate their 2nd wedding anniversary with their daughter, godmothered by the woman who saved their lives. Today, Chitty Nanso is 11 years old, thriving in school, safe and loved. This is what justice looks like. This is what courage achieves. This is what happens when good refuses to surrender to evil. The end. From maid to hero twice, Amara didn't just save one life. She saved everyone. 2 villains behind bars. 2 lives restored. 1 incredible woman who refused to give up. Cynthia got 18 years. Kenneth got 15 years. And Amara? She got a house, a business, a family, and a legacy that will inspire generations. This is what real courage looks like. This is what happens when you fight for what's right even when you're terrified. This is proof that your beginning does not determine your ending. Did this story move you? Then do this. Smash that like button right now if you believe in justice. Subscribe to African Tales by Zion for more stories where the brave are rewarded and the wicked are punished. Tap the super thanks below to support the channel. Share this with someone who needs to know that they're stronger than they think. Share it with every single mother fighting impossible battles. Share it with everyone who's been underestimated. Comment below, what was your favorite moment? Was it when Amara set the trap? When Cynthia got arrested again? When baby Amara was named after our hero? Tell us. Turn on all notifications because we have more amazing stories coming that will inspire you, move you, and remind you that good always wins. Remember this. Sometimes the smallest voice speaks the loudest truth. Sometimes a servant becomes a savior. Sometimes just a maid becomes a hero, and always a mother's love is stronger than any evil. You might feel small in this world. You might feel powerless. But with courage, with love, with determination, you can defeat any enemy. Thank you for watching part 2 of Amara's incredible journey. If you haven't watched part 1, go watch it now. Link in the description. And if you've been with us in the beginning, thank you for believing in this story, for believing in Amara, for believing that justice prevails. From all of us at African Tales by Zion, stay blessed, stay courageous, stay strong, because your story, it might be the next one that inspires the world. God bless you all.